Because the first name was who?
I didn't see the first name.
The black guy? George Floyd?
Oh.
Uh-huh. Two things that never was allowed around in this area. One,
Okay.
black people didn't live down in the area where I'm from. Two, you never intervened with another man's family. It didn't matter if you seen him picking up a 2x4 and beating the hell out of his kids, or if he had a stenching cord and beating the hell out of them, or whatever. You did not open up your mouth. And I violated that principle whenever I come back here, and there was some stuff going on across the road, and me and my brother, we made a telephone call to Nashville, to the child abuse center, and then we made one to Dresden. And did you know that come back and bit me?
Imagine
It did. It come back and bit me. But what
George Floyd, I researched him a lot too. You know, that came up.
Well, he wasn't a perfect guy.
No, he was in.
He was in a lot of bad stuff.
But before he went to prison, he robbed a house, walked up to a pregnant woman, and stuck a knife in her bed. Didn't stick it in her, but held it to her until he was going to cut the baby out of her. His kid, he had with a girlfriend. He never married her. And he was up in Minnesota, and they were in Texas, had nothing to do with him, okay? The family had nothing to do with it, but when they saw that they could get a $5 million lawsuit, they were all, he was our man, and whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, I mean, they pulled him over originally because they thought he had a counterfeit $20 bill.
Well, they thought he had written a bad check.
Or written a bad check or something like that.
A grocery store. If he would have gotten in the car, here's the question though. He was in the car when they stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
3 cops are trying to put him in the back and spent over 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking their time with that case. He went in one back door and came out the other.
That's correct.
And fighting back and forth
That's
before they
correct.
got him on the ground and he couldn't breathe.
That's correct.
But he was also on drugs too.
Which
could have had something to do with it too. But if he would have just done this when you were a kid,
you got
the
to
cop
comply.
pulled you over.
You got to comply.
And the cop told you to put your hands up or get out of the car, whatever. You complied. Now you got kids to roll it down window 1/4 of an inch and say, "I ain't opening it. Show me a warrant. You ain't getting in my car." They're getting snotty with these cops, and imagine that job every day of the week. People acting like that with you.
Well, they just had a situation yesterday where a bunch of cops had a guy pulled over on the side of the road, and one of them had a canine dog.
Yeah.
And they're debating right now whether or not he deliberately sicked the dog on them towards unnecessary treatment, or if the guy wasn't complying to the point that they claim if you don't comply with a cop, whenever a cop tells you to stop,
right,
that's considered a federal offense.
Shut that off.
That's considered a federal offense, if you can believe that.
Well,
Yeah.
back in the 60s, if a cop told
Thank
you
you.
to stop and you ran, they shot a warning shot in the air and then they went and put one right in you. Now they can't do that. You got too many rights.
Show you this. This is in Savannah, Tennessee. They got a beautiful memorial there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Damn.
Yes, sir. A beautiful memorial.
Wait a minute. What is that?
That's me and my friend fishing.
What?
Catfishing. Catfishing on the Tennessee River.
I'm the only guy you ever met. Spent over $20,000, 3 boats, trying to catch crappie. Even bought 8 poles to spider rig, and I've caught 2 fish.
Yeah.
Is that expensive fish?
That's expensive fish. But at least
See where I come from? Well, explain this to you.
But at least you know
Your
what you
daddy
wanna do.
taught you to put a worm or a jig on a line and twig it and learn how to catch, okay?
Look at this one. That's Vietnam.
Where I come from, we don't put a minnow on a hook. We put your bass or your catfish on a hook and use it for bait.
I like this
You
one.
understand? So that's what I'm trying to learn, how to catch these fish, but
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That Freedom Ring.
Oh, that's great.
World War One, Vietnam, Korean War. They got a heck of a memorial site there in Savannah, Tennessee.
Wow.
Down by Pickwick. But I was going to tell you a story. You see my truck decorated, correct? On the side of the truck, you took notice, or your employees did, towards what it read. That truck has probably been photographed and digitally put and there's probably been at least 200 plus million people that has visually seen that truck.
Cool.
And the reason why is
You go to all these memorials and stuff.
is because I went to Waco and I investigated, stayed on the property for
That
3 days and
massacre?
3 nights after the Davidians got burned up down there in Waco.
Right.
And I actually interviewed some of the original Davidians that was still living at the time. And then I went from there up to Oklahoma. And I had no idea the weekend that I went that they was fixing to have a, what do you call it, with a bunch of runners? Where they
Marathon.
run? Marathon. It was on the weekend of the year anniversary. And there was cops everywhere over there. And as soon as I got over there, they got to looking at me sideways. And the next thing you know, I'm in the back of a police car. And the next thing you know, they haul me up to a psychiatrist to see if I need to be put away. See if I got both my oars in the water. Once they determined that I was okay, on the way back from the psychiatrist, which I wasn't up at the psychiatrist's office for maybe 30 minutes. Once I come back, that's whenever they decided they was gonna make an example out of me, and basically they questioned me about what was in the back of my truck, and I couldn't remember because at that time I was being temporarily obtained. I wasn't actually arrested, but I was being obtained. And I kept saying, I don't think there's nothing in the back of my truck. I cleaned my truck out. And I had forgotten that there was a red sleeping bag in my truck. And for some reason, who knows why, that sleeping bag, according to all the officials, rode right in the middle of the bed of that truck and set up long ways. And guess what they thought it was? They thought it was filled full of TNT.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I was parked at the time in the post office, which was
Thought
right.
you had a bomb in it.
Yes, sir. Thought I had a bomb in the truck. I was parked at the time in the post office, which is a federal grounds, right across from where the memorial site originally blowed up. And before it was all said and done with, I'm sitting in the back end of a car at 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock at night. I'm seeing helicopters fly by. I'm seeing blue lights everywhere where they got the whole town shut down. They bring in 18-wheelers with robots, like $500,000 robots, and took a robot and poked it in the side of my camper shell and activated a bomb and blew both my windows out and put me all over national news like I was some sort of a would-be terrorist.
Did they pay for the damage to the truck?
No, and I done exactly what they told me to do. They said go and get 3 estimates and submit it up at City Hall, and that I was denied.
Remember that guy in Texas that went to the court square down there? Some town, I forget it was.
You've reached A+ Auto Repair. Our hours are 8
I
a.m.
went down to get my
Monday through
alignment
Friday.
machine down there in
We do
Texas.
close
It was
between
a Texas.
12
I see you got some good equipment in there.
If you've used this
Anyway,
after
I was
2000,
parked
please
right
feel
there
free
in the
to
same
leave us a
parking
message.
spot.
Thank you.
That all took place. So he was parked and shot all them
Yes,
people.
this is Shelley.
The day
Tidwell.
before
I
he
talked
did
to you last week. I was wanting to see.
I imagine there was feds everywhere down there then.
2009 Nissan Rogue, I fixed it a month or so ago, the back rotors and all, which is fine, but there's something going on with it, the shaking and all, when I come to a stop. There's no service engine light on, however, so I was wanting to see if I could drop it off around 3:30 or 4, if that was possible, and leave it until tomorrow. Maybe I could see what's going on with it.
Right, with all the other people.
If you would please give me a call back, Shelley Tidwell, 731-446-0512. Thank you.
All right. The reason why that I took that upon myself, number one, first of all, I knew that the government was hiding something from the people. Not only with the Waco incident, the 51-day standoff, but also with the Oklahoma deal.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, it was ATF that set up camp down there for about 6 months right across from the Davidians that played like that they was high school kids. And they got buttered up to them And the next thing you know, they sold them a bunch of guns, just like that right there, high magazine guns, and then turned around and busted them because in order to purchase a high magazine, basically a machine gun, you're supposed to pay a certain tax, and they didn't pay that tax. They had no idea what that group was doing. They had no idea that there was any type of illegal activity going on in that group. They just was basically wanting to go in there and make a big deal out of it. And come to find out, the day that they was busting them, going to do the raid, the Davidians was already onto them. Their plans had already been spoilt, so they should have stopped. But they didn't. They went ahead and pursued the raid that turned into a gun battle, that turned into a 51-day stand, and the next thing you know, the government fills it full of tear gas for 6 continuous hours, 90 canisters. 90 canisters for 6 hours, and of course you know good and well that them mothers and stuff that was taking care of them children had to have some sort of light because they had the electricity turned off from day one. So they had to have either coal oil lamps going or something going to be able to have some light. And as soon as all that tear gas got down there where there was a spark, bingo.
It caught fire.
Caught fire. Turned into a tire inferno. But then I found out something else based upon earthquake. What do you call that earthquake machine that registers? Richter scale, that there was 2 readings in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. One reading was like a 2.3 and the other was like a 2.7 and the other reading was like a 4.2, and they were simultaneously back to back together whenever the Oklahoma bombing took place. So what do? I go down to Oklahoma and I start going to all the businesses and I start questioning people. What's your opinion? What do you think? This and that. And out of the 100 people that I interviewed, there was about 3 of them that had knowledge about explosions that said there was 2 explosions that day. They said they were so close together you wouldn't have recognized it unless you had a trained ear. So what had occurred in my conclusions is that Janet Reno and Bill Clinton, after about the 40th day, realized that they was causing such of an embarrassment down there with the 51-day standoff. Keep in mind, Ruby Ridge had already taken place. Keep in mind that the Twin Towers had already been attacked that spring, so they were still dealing with that part. This was 1995, whenever the Twin Towers first got attacked. Hang on.
100 people to verify if there was government cover-up. Somebody
put the order out and said, you know what?
Hush it up.
This is making us look bad. Stop it, no matter what it takes. And I think after about the 40th day, the standoff, it got alternated from a recovery mission to a doomsday mission. I personally believe that somebody brought in about 4 boxes of dynamite, put it in the lower part of the Muriel building, maybe 2 boxes, and that's what they was going to actually use on the Davidians. But they got lucky by the tank pumping holes into the side of the building down there at Waco, and the building caught a fire and they didn't have to use the dynamite. Well, the people that brought the dynamite into the building didn't take it out of the building. They took a sheet and covered over the building. Took a sheet and covered over the boxes and said, well, we'll get to it later. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and on the 2nd anniversary year, the year that the Waco deal happened, on the 51 day, whenever they killed all them people, that's whenever Timothy McVeigh and Nichols brought that Ryder truck in with 3,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. And they was actually going to park it underneath where the parking section was, but they miscalculated the truck. The truck was 3 inches too high and it wouldn't go under the thing. So instead of them parking it under the building, they parked it in front of the building. Yes, but explosion 1 was in depth enough that it caused explosion 2 to go off, and that's basically what took everything in the center of that building and ripped it from the inside out and throwed it back towards the Ryder truck, which is theoretically impossible. Theoretically impossible.
Did you ever hear of the bridge to nowhere?
Yeah, I've heard of a road to nowhere. Somewhere in East Tennessee, I was at a road.
Bill Clinton, when he was the governor, some big farmer owned a bunch of land. It was over here, and there was a river there. It was useless because no one could get to it.
Right.
So Bill Clinton got the government to build a $50 million bridge over there so he could break it up into lots. And
I got
sell
you.
it.
I got
It's
you.
called the Bridge to Nowhere. Government covered, taxpayers' money paid for it.
Just over some big farmer
Bill
that had a lot of
Clinton
that
and
had a lot
Hillary
of.
Clinton, all their political careers never owned their own homes. Everybody gave them a home to live in while they were in office, even when they were president. And when she ran for, what was it, Congress or Senate in New York, they were living in some millionaire's home, so she had to have residency to run for the job there.
Whenever I was working at Jackson, Tennessee for Steve Hardy Collision Specialist for 10 years, we had a bad hailstorm down there, and there was this guy that come in doing PDR work, paintless dent repair, from Little Rock, Arkansas, or somewhere around Arkansas. He got to telling us some horror stories about Bill
anybody
Clinton.
does paintless dent repair?
Well, you probably look them up in the telephone now,
I can't
or
find
call up
anybody.
dealerships or whatever.
I got one little button in the side of my Corolla in the door, which you can take door panel off and
Right.
get to.
Right.
And I know, I've seen it done.
But he
with
was
hail.
telling us that whenever Bill Clinton was governor in Arkansas, that started running for presidency, that
Had the
there was
worst roads in anywhere
there was
you went.
mysteriously about a dozen different deaths that surrounded the Capitol, people like state troopers and stuff like that, that just all of a sudden mysteriously just up and died as they was
After
crawling.
that land deal they got into, everybody that was involved in it committed suicide or whatever. They're
Yeah.
dead. So there's no one to testify against. Everyone, how can you get 12 or 13 people to all go kill themselves?
Exactly. Well, how about the deal? What was the guy that had all the sex, the island, with
Oh yeah, that died in the prison.
supposedly killed himself?
Yeah, he was buddy with Bill Clinton.
That's right. You know why? Because Bill Clinton was going over to that island, and they had pictures on him. They had proof that he was over there
Monica-
dealing around with those 13, 14-year-old girls.
Monica Lewinsky, okay, you know.
Her life got ruined after that
Oh
happened.
no, she's set for the rest of her life. She's got all kinds of things.
Well,
she's
she
getting
must have
into. She's
changed
a
him because
millionaire
at first they shunned her.
now. Oh yeah, but they came back. She got settlements under the table. She got money, got businesses.
Really?
Google her right now.
She's making making books and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Got
But
copyrights.
here's the
and stuff?
thing. They confiscated the dress. Okay.
Okay.
Remember, he said I didn't have no sex with that woman. Where did they find semen on the dress? You know?
I'm gonna
On
say
the
it'd probably be the top part of her
On the
dress.
sleeve.
Okay. On her sleeve.
So he was basically telling the world correctly. He was sitting right there going to this young girl.
He lied to
telling-
the American people. He
telling
said
her-
that he did not have sex with that woman.
Right. Telling her to give him a blowjob.
Right.
And she did. But he's been always a sexual pervert. But did his wife leave him after that? No. They've not lived together for a while.
He was oversexed.
He's having nothing.
He was
to-
overly sexed.
She's having nothing to do with him, but they're staying married because they both still have political aspirations.
Right.
She wants to be president. She's going to run again this time.
Let me show you something else here that may fascinate you.
They're perverts.
Let me say something else. They killed this man. They hired him. They told him they had problems in the town. They wanted him to come in and clean the town up. And then after he got to cleaning up the town, he got to cleaning up the town too good. And they backed him up in the corner. They said, "Look here, Buford, we hired you to clean up the town, but you're affecting our businesses down here."
Oh, I've seen all the movies on that.
Huh?
I've never gone down.
That's
to his
original
house.
badge right there. That's authentic badge. Matter of
You
fact,
know-
I called it in, and the woman told me, she said, if you ever decide to get rid of that, she said, I'll guarantee you $250 right off the top. I only gave $60 for it. She said that they get $60 just for the generic ones that they sell down there in the museum.
The first two movies they made, he was still alive. He
Look at
told
this.
them he
Look at this, man.
he had
Look
some.
here.
Sandy,
Yes.
Look at
he's
this.
trying to show you something.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Buford Pussy.
yeah.
Walking tall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, the first two Walking Talls, he was alive, and the second one they finished up because he died. Okay.
Right.
But he went with them, showed them where it went, how it went, whatever, so it would be right. Okay.
Gotcha.
Did you see the third one? Did you see
Where
the
they
third
where they
Walking-
went in there towards the last, and they took out all the stuff out of the building, and then they
No.
caught fire of it. And he was all bandaged
No,
up.
I'm talking about the last Walking Tall movie.
Who?
There's a guy that plays Buford Pusser, and he's black. And he's got a black family.
I ain't seen that.
You're looking to Dwayne.
I ain't
Wayne
seen-
Johnson plays Buford
Really?
Pusser, and he's Samoan.
I haven't
and
seen.
something
I've seen
else.
just bits and pieces.
But
of
his
it.
wife and his family are all black. Now, how do you take a white man in white history, and it's not a prejudice thing, and then make a movie about his life and put black people in it?
Well, that's just Hollywood.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
That's just Hollywood. That's just like the movie that recently come out pertaining to the guy that created the atom bomb. He didn't create the atom bomb. He didn't create what they told on that movie that just recently come out this weekend. Halliburton or whatever his name is. He didn't actually design the atom bomb. You know where the atom bomb was designed?
Well, I thought it was German scientists come over here. Russia got half of them, and Germany, and we got half of them, and because Germany was that close to having it.
That was.
And they split up the scientists, and then was a race who was going to get it first, us or Russia, but both of us got it.
Well,
Nuclear
you're
weapons
you're
and
very
all that.
close. It was in New Zealand, and the gentleman here was M.A. I can't even pronounce the name. Ernest Rutherford in 1893 was the guy that was essentially splitting the atom at that time. And the opportunity come up.
What
Mr.
was
Ernest,
that
or
big?
Mr. Ernest,
They called it the something experiment or
the
whatever.
Manhattan Experiment. Do you know where it took place at?
Yeah.
Huh?
I think that was in East Tennessee. wasn't
You
it?
got it, Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Oak Ridge, that's where they did all the
That's
nuclear
right.
stuff.
They had a dam on the Tennessee River at the time that was partially in North Carolina.
They made movies about
That
that.
the
and
contractors went in and built that dam in half the length of time that it was scheduled for it to be completed. And the reason why is because of the urgency of everything. And basically, it was them, TVA, that created enough electricity that Oak Ridge could basically go down and do the formula of it and get it started. And then they basically took the rest of it to Los Alamos, and it was that guy that finished it up. But they didn't put that in the movie. They didn't put none of that in the movie.
You ever hear of the town Henry, Tennessee?
Yes, I have.
Okay. It's right between McKinsey and Paris.
That's right.
There used to be a military post there. Right now, it was Spinks Clay for years. Some other clay companies coming in because they found a lot of clay in there. But you drive through there, and there's streets, and there's sidewalks, and everything in there. No houses. It was a military base. They took all the buildings and destroyed them. But the streets and the sidewalks, like a city, take all the buildings out. The streets and sidewalks are still sitting there. You can drive right through it. There's no gate no more. They had a gate where you went in, a gate at the other end. I'm 54. You know what they did there? That is where they developed mustard gas. And they took volunteers from the city or whatever to volunteer to get sprayed with this shit to see how it would react with people.
Wow.
And after so many years, they found out the ground was contaminated and everything else with it. They closed it down, took all the buildings out and whatever, and then sold it to a clay company. But they're raising cattle out there.
And we're eating it, and we're eating the meat.
Cattle are eating the grass and everything.
And
there,
we're eating the
this
meat from the
contaminated
cattle.
ground, and then we're eating the cattle out of there.
Have you ever heard of Sir Joseph Ruthbert? That was born in 1908, died in 2005 in Los Alamos, New Mexico. He was actually working for the Los Alamos laboratory until he retired. And when he retired, he turned on them people because he realized the importance that if there ever was an actual nuclear war, he created a thing called the black hole. And I went up there and I talked to this guy. I talked to him, okay? I didn't talk to the owner, but I talked to the guy, one of the guys that was working there at the time, that was called upon by the Oklahoma authorities towards the day, less than 24 hours after the Oklahoma bombing took place.
Yeah.
He was an expert in explosives.
Yeah.
They called him up and they sent him down to Oklahoma. Him and his three buddies took about a month going through everything, and there towards the last, they come up with the equation that not only did they believe that one bomb done that damage, not only did they believe that 2 bombs done that damage, but it was a possibility that there was 3 bombs that caused that kind of damage. And you know what they done to it in Oklahoma? They swept it under the rug and never mentioned it, even though halfway into the recovery, while they was digging bodies out, the feds stopped everything, told everybody to get out of there, and they went in and found detonators all in the basement. That verifies not only pertaining to the earthquake.
Yeah, it wasn't somebody who just drove up outside, blew up their van.
That's right.
Like the guy in NAFTA.
That's right. Like I said, if that damage would have been done by that Ryder truck, all the debris would have went in the opposite direction of the Ryder truck. So it's definitely a cover-up. Why do these people want to tell lies to the American people? Because those people deserve, that died and the victims of all that, they deserve to know the truth towards closure.
I'll tell you something about this country that you haven't really fathomed on listening to you talk. But this country, if you watch our economy, okay? Here's our economy. It goes down, 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 down.
Ever presidential.
Then they turn around and we pick a war, and we turn around and we send people off to get massacred and killed. And that creates jobs for bullets, guns, everything they're blowing up in the war.
Read that.
Anyway.
That was the day of the bombing of the 2 bombs, the Fat Boys, that was dropped over in Japan. And it read in the headlines, atomic bomb, Oak Ridge at war with Japan.
Anyway, you watch the economy, it goes like this. We get more babies born, more people.
Right.
There's more people than jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Economy goes down. We pick a war, kill off half the workforce, create jobs. Economy goes up, starts dropping again. We pick another war. You go back over the last 3 or 4 wars and watch the economy, and right in with the wars and the numbers. It goes up and down. So every time we start heading toward a recession or depression, they go pick a war and do that, which pulls up the stock market, jobs, everything else, because you're killing off workforce and creating jobs.
In today's society, knowing what Putin has been doing for the past 500 plus days, in bombing civilians, daycare centers, maternity wards, hospitals, funerals, weddings, don't matter. Basically attacking the civilian life over there toward trying to genocide them. If that was to be going on right now in one of the good old countries, we would have done already intervened and done already stopped it. But because Putin has atomic bombs,
and we're scared of him, we're going to let him roll on, and we're going to back the other guys, hoping he runs out of everything, and his people get pissed off. But he's got so much brainwashing to his own people and blocking anything that gets out from anywhere else, to where the Russian people are still behind him. He's telling them, oh, we're fighting a good cause and whatever.
So let me ask you something.
That land, even the whole country recame, which was part of Russia, it was during the breakup.
Right.
And he wants it back, okay? But let me ask you this.
But why would you want a piece of property back that was desecrated?
That's the thing. I want Sidonia. That's where you live.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight you for it, but I'm going to blow it to smithereens. And when it's done, what's it worth? What's it going to cost you to rebuild?
You know what's
it to
happening?
be worth something?
You know what's happening right now? Major networks, major construction companies is already sitting down and penciling in how much money that they can make towards going in and rebuilding
all that.
rebuilding
and
Ukraine
there'll be
back.
money from every country around
You got it.
put into it.
You got it.
To do it.
Sacrificing the weak
And
for
they're
the
gonna
strong.
go-
Sacrificing the weak
They're
for the
gonna go
strong.
from old equipment and old buildings and whatever to brand new.
That's right.
And then they'll have a debt to all these countries that they'll never pay back.
Well, you know why they allowed to give them that property
You
to begin
think
with over there, don't
Japan, South Korea, South Vietnam, any of these countries
Same
ever
thing.
paid us back?
Same thing. But what I'm getting at, you know why Russia.
We're in debt for trillions and trillions of dollars, but we're still yet giving money to other countries, and we won't get paid back. So we just keep going in debt.
And we
more.
can't take care of our own people.
Because we want our politics over there.
But what I'm saying, that's correct. But what I'm saying is, pertaining to Putin blowing up all them people over there, if that was to break out of hand, it could very well affect Germany and
The
the
money that
UK and all those other
The
countries over
money
there.
that we put into Ukraine just for bullets and bombs.
We'll make it back
Would-
on
wait-
rebuilding other stuff.
Wait a minute. That would be enough money to take care of every homeless person in the United States.
Oh,
that
I'm
we
sure.
gave away.
Oh, I'm sure. But yet, no, we want to point our finger at all these other countries and say how
There
corrupt
you
that
go.
they are? Huh?
I got you.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
my guys are coming back. I got to check on them, get them lined up, get them working.
Okay. It's good talking to you.
Good talking to you too. Anyway, like I said, you get that master cylinder, call Sandy and she'll set a time for you to get in here and we'll try to get it on and get
I
it
will.
fixed right for you.
I will. I will.
Okay?
Yes, sir.